Jensen, like you get that call up to the bigs. It's a special day, and all of a sudden you find yourself maybe in the Guardians, and you're looking across at the Tigers, and you go, hey, saw you guys all last year down the stretch, and then saw you in the playoffs as well, Jensen. Maybe some playoff rematches we've got on the brain today?
Yeah, we've already had a handful of them begin yesterday, and some really good ones so far. The Guardians taking care of the Tigers big time, as well as the Yankees having to hold on against the Blue Jays. Brewers ending a 15-game home winning streak for the Cubs. And what a dandy we have between the Dodgers and the Padres, big brother versus little brother. We got some trends at play for you, and particularly with where we are looking at not only a couple of these playoff series, but let's take the Blue Jays and the Yankees. It was an overplay for us yesterday. And when Toronto is on the road so far this month, they've been 12-3 to the over, as well as the Dodgers coming off a 1-run loss. They're 13-3 to the over. So if you're looking for some offense again tonight, the trends continue. Our esteemed producer, Joe Frizo, will be happy to know that his Yankees, even holding on for dear life, are 9-1 straight up on Tuesdays, if you wanted to play that trend as well. So a couple of those playoff rematches beginning yesterday. They'll be back at it again today. Dave, I do have a handful of plays right now, non-playoff related, but a really good series between the Braves and the Marlins. It did not transpire in game one as the Marlins blew out the Braves. I am aligned with Greg Peterson. I do think it's a bounce back for Atlanta. I played them on the alternate run line -1 at -$1.02. And then I also played the over 8 at -$1.20. Again, that's Martin Perez. And this is a different start time here, Dave, 4:10 Eastern. So a little bit of an afternoon affair there as Braxton Garrett will go for the Marlins. You heard GP talk about it earlier that the ERA has just skyrocketed. The Braves, you don't often see them held down the way they were offensively. I think they get back in earnest today in a big, big way. Other one to think about here, it has been a tough road to hoe for the San Francisco Giants, and especially on the road, they have been really dismal too. How about the Diamondbacks money line of play for us tonight, -$1.11, and we'll also go back to the over. Nolan Arenado with a grand slam early last night. The Diamondbacks put this one away early. I think early offense could be on the horizon for Arizona again. The pitching matchup tonight is going to be Landon Roop and Ryan Nelson. Now, Roop's actually been one of the better starters here for San Francisco, but Arizona got to Robbie Ray in a big way early. So I think we get to an alternate over on the run total here, at least the total for the game. And food for thought here. The Diamondbacks continue to be an over machine at home. How about the over 22-5 the last 27 times they've won game one of a series? And then also coming off a win against a National League West opponent in their last 13, 11 times they've gone to the over. So we like more offense at Chase Field in the desert later on tonight.
Yeah, Robbie Ray gave up a grand slam before he got an out yesterday. It was a rough start for the Giants yesterday, and certainly he did not play well. WAR, what's it good for? Well, it's good in baseball here. If you can get some wins above replacement, you've got some pitchers and some hitters, Jensen, so far thriving in the month of May.
Yeah, just to highlight again, sometimes it's from a player prop perspective, a little bit easier to go into these certain timelines. And basically through what we've seen last night and all the way back to May 1st, a handful of these names are guys that you might want to back offensively and also look at as far as starters go upcoming the way they've been throwing. Let's start offensively, Dave. I know it hasn't been great for our Kansas City Royals, but Bobby Witt Jr. has been done everything he can to try and make this thing viable the way they're going. How about 1.4 wins above replacement? He leads all offensive categories, or at least offensive players in that category. Cody Bellinger. Man, oh man, what a year. What a start for him right now. 12 runs and 17 RBI. When you look at where he is, just trailing JJ Bleday and Bryson Stott in the month of May. But he obviously leads American League offensive players with the most runs batted in thus far in the calendar month. Luis Arraez, it has been better. He missed a couple of games, got banged up a bit, but his usual offensive exploits continuing. Michael Busch for the Chicago Cubs, 16 ribbies for him, and now a Cubs offense that has been able to flex on a lot of people. But I want to highlight for you Byron Buxton, wasn't in the starting lineup last night, and they had to wait around a while for the rain delay there in the Twin Cities. But how about 10 runs scored and 12 ribbies for him? A really great start, and maybe under the radar the way it's going. I'll throw it back to you here on the pitching front. We do have Jacob Misiorowski, who gets the start tonight for Milwaukee up against those Chicago Cubs. But it is two guys in the American League. Davis Martin for the White Sox, Dylan Cease for the Toronto Blue Jays. Those two guys trailing Cam Schlittler in overall pitching wins above replacement. I'm still saying it'd be worth an investment looking at what Martin's done. I don't know if we can get there on Cease at plus 230 in the American League Cy Young market. But, man, these guys have been throwing the ball well, and particularly in this heat wave with the month of May so far.
I think if you're a Padre backer, you're like, where was this for Dylan Cease when we had you here, right? Now, he comes over from the White Sox, and then you move on. He goes to Toronto last year, and he really has looked the part so far to be their ace and kind of anchor their rotation. So, I love your Davis Martin pick. I just wonder if the voting public will know enough about what you know from Davis Martin and really take into account what he's doing on the South Side in order for that ticket to get home. But I think you look at the numbers, they can stack up with anybody, and you are well ahead of that steam there on the Davis Martin side. I love when you do the cross-sport parlays, and we're getting excited now with OTAs in the NFL. What do you have here for a little bit NFL and Major League Baseball?
Yeah, and I love playing around with these, certainly knowing that we're on the advent of OTAs, and we'll be talking football preview before you know it. So just putting these together, I think some of these are insane, the value you could get. All right. On the baseball side, Dave, it's to win the respective league, so winning the American League or National League. On the football side, it's to win the respective conference, NFC or AFC.
Okay.
Dodgers to win the National League, parlayed with the Rams to win the NFC at almost 11-1. That piqued my interest. Yankees to win the American League, Buffalo to finally get to the Super Bowl again. A little shade over 19-1. How about the Seahawks to go back to the Super Bowl? And then the Mariners to finally punch through for their first time in franchise history. That's 35-1. And then I had to go the old San Diego Charger route here, putting the Padres to win the National League and the Chargers to win the AFC at 161-1. Let me say it again. Padres to win the National League, Chargers to win the AFC at 161-1. It's not out of the realm of possibility on either side there. And then finally, I just put it together for the Rays, who have the most wins in the American League, the Braves, who have the most wins in the National League. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I just had to throw it out to get your organic reaction. Rays to win the American League, the Buccaneers to win the NFC is 160-1. And then this is a funny one. Braves to win the National League, Falcons to win the NFC, 307-1. Not advocating for either of those. It was just moment in time. Here we are right now. Those are the two best teams in baseball. Just wanted to build that out for people in case they wanted to see what the odds were.
Again, I keep putting it in context with Aaron Rye. That Braves and Falcons ticket is just $7 longer than Aaron Rye was this week at 301. Still blows my mind. But when I look at those tickets that you've constructed here, I look at the Padres and the Chargers, and you know how I feel about the Padres. They're 7-1, by the way, to win their division. Okay. Now, I think they're going to be a wild card team, if they don't win the division, obviously. So I think they're going to be a playoff team is my point here. And I kind of look at the same way with the Chargers. Now, they've had injuries, but now they look like they're finally healthy, getting their tackles back. Can you keep Justin Herbert upright this year? Can you get the semblance of a running game? If those things happen, Jensen, they're going to be a playoff team. Can they win the West? Absolutely. They're the second betting choice behind Kansas City to get that done. So at 161-1, I think it might be worth a fun sprinkle if you're out there in California and those are your teams. I wouldn't mind that. The other team that I do like this year, I like the Falcons in the NFC South this year. I do. So it's a bad division. Can you win it? And then if you want it, obviously you don't have to play that first round of the wild card. If you win the division, Jensen, you could be looking to monetize that ticket at 307-1. So I would look at your two long shots with the old San Diego Chargers and now the LA Chargers with the San Diego Padres. And I'd look down there at the ATL with the Falcons and the Braves. As much as I don't like the Braves, we got to call a spade right now. They look pretty darn good in the NL East.